Oh my gosh. First of all, it is such an honor to meet you, Simone. I am the biggest fan of what you do, not just for, the industry, but what you do for women and in the country. So I'm just so pleased and blessed to be here. And yeah, and Dominique and Cherylee, always a pleasure seeing both of you.
So excited to meet you. So everything you just said, right back at you. I mean,
Oh, well, thank you.
I know you are extremely busy, and it's just, we're so grateful to have some time on your calendar. And I know this has been, a bit putting the calendars together, and we're just
It's all good.
We're
I'm
so happy
it
to have
worked
a
out.
chance to get to know you. And Cherylee's been getting to know you on the side, keeping you to herself. And no, I'm kidding.
Me, but true.
And Mayda and I've been watching you. We have 3 kids, and our oldest, Ethan, is 19, and he knows all about your stadium. He knows all about the team. He's like, oh yeah, I've seen a lot about that stadium. And so when we told him we were talking with you today, he was like, really? Really?
Oh my gosh, that's so cool that it's reaching the other coast. And this is a global historic project. So it's an honor, and I'm humbled and have a lot of humility going into it. I'm elated. So
incredible. Oh my gosh, that's so great. And have you had a chance? You and Mayda have met before, right? Or at least spoken? No, not before.
No, not at all.
Oh, Mayda, hi, how are you? I know you. I feel like I'm fangirling out right now because I know.
Likewise. It's really great.
Yeah.
Big love fest.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's me. That's Cherylee I've known, which I know we'll get into, but I've known for a decade now, and she's following me to 3 states, and to kind of have this huge moment in my life with her right there helping me get the project off the ground is like what dreams are made of, really, because that's what you want, is to surround yourself with women that support you and have been there from the start, and Cherylee has. So it's so cool to come full circle.
I think, and also being in the world that the industry that we are living in right now. I mean, we are certainly one of a few women, one of a few LGBT part of the community, and but yet we're very, very strong, I think, because of it. So it's like,
visibility is huge. And I'm learning that in a big way with this project, because I typically shy away from spotlight or talking about myself. I mean, I think a lot of people in this industry do, but actually Chef Deani in Miami, who is one of my very good friends, her and I, when she was doing the Super Bowl, talked about her role and how it's a selfless position of visibility, and it's not, it may make you uncomfortable, but the bigger picture, it's so crucial that it happens. And I'm going through it, and I'm writing through it every day, and she's a good soundboard for me, because she's been such a trailblazer in the industry.
Yeah, and she's become really, really good at being able to talk about the great things that she does and show it on social media, because what you mentioned is so true. You said you're not good at talking about yourself. We as women, I don't think are taught to do that. In fact, we're taught the
100%.
opposite. Right? To give the spotlight to other people, oftentimes men.
No, please, yes.
I don't know what happened.
Background music.
Did anyone's ringtone, or what was that?
No, it was I stuck this in my ear and my music came on. Adele,
that
was really good.
Adele, not right now.
That could be like the intro and the outtake. We'll just do a little shaking. But it is probably been one of our detriments. Is if we look at our 20-year history, we grew with word of mouth through people that we connected with, and they helped us grow. You helped us grow. Chef D helped us grow. We were not doing our own PR, and we're actually we were super awkward about it. So now we're just getting to a point where we've got such a strong marketing team that they're They're working hard to do that for us, but I love that it's organic and it's not like
100%.
we've never had somebody like an outside PR agency like talk about how flashy we are. We are so not about that, and that's why you probably rarely see Mayda and I in anything that has to do with like outward FOH stuff, because we all run the company. Everyone who is in FOH runs the company. It's not just about like Mayda and I being like figureheads or anything.
Yeah. And I think that's so important. I love that you brought that up because like, oh, there we go. Humanizing this experience when I started applying that into my leadership, it completely changed the game. When I started seeing people opposed to, dollar signs or a business deal, it like really just evaporated any roadblocks I was having. And I love that about FOH and you guys because you started at a brick and mortar, right? In Miami basic. I'm sorry. I don't know.
We did. Yeah. Real life
Yeah.
basic back in the late 90s.
Yeah, that's right.
And
So,
yeah, we were totally B2C, and the majority of our big sales were coming from hotels and restaurants. And Miami was, hot then, but going through a transition because it was like very, very much like a gay center and very cool and very hip, but not commercialized to the degree that it is now. And the people who were watching that, were doing an amazing job bringing in really cool hotels and restaurants, and they didn't have anything cool to buy.
Totally.
So they were going to retail, and then we were developing the relationships, and then we started making our own stuff overseas, and our design perspective, and then making it like, operationally safe and strong, and, having sort of like a cool vibe and a great price point, but having it be something that, goes through the warewashing machine, and, all of those sort of operational structures were built up, and then we closed the store, and FOH was, off and running.
And I love that. I love that there was a concept of a dream that organically turned into this national, and I don't even call it a business, I call it a movement, because I really think it is.
I love that.
And I tell this to everybody, not just the owners and the founder of FOH, but anytime I get in this creative like flow of wanting to be visible in a different way or push boundaries, I automatically get frustrated because I'm like, I need something specific. And then I always go FOH first, because they're usually the solution for that creative outlet. All the other companies I think are just stuck in this generic pattern of safety. And I love that FOH is like, no, we're going to, and if it doesn't work, great, we'll pivot, but we're going to bring dreams alive. The world is chaotic. The temperature of the country and the world is in a negative. And so what we want to do is create this space for people to come and forget their worries, even if it's for a night, even if it's over dinner, but they just get re-inspired and they get their cup filled. And that starts with the plates, and that starts with what we are putting things on, because it's such a visual experience off the bat, and it's a partnership that has to be met. And FOH has always in my career risen to the challenge of understanding that and not taking the safe route or the easier route. They're like, this is totally out there, Chef Molly, but I'm so down. Let's travel down this path together. And Cherylee, I'll talk about her all day because she's been that person for me in every avenue that I've gone. And I just think it needs to be spoke about more, because there's other people that I meet that just aren't aware. And then when I bring this to them, they're like,
where's it been?
This is literally where exactly. Which is very few people, because there's such a big, popularity with you. So it's very rare that happens.
I love that.
Chef,
Thank you.
and let me ask you, because you called it a movement, and hey, thank you so much for that, because that is such a compliment. But really, I see what you've done in the industry and what you're doing at the moment with the stadium, and with just bringing awareness. And we perhaps design the products and have the products that trying to create little bits of awareness of the climate change and what we need to do and how we need to be as socially responsible, people, but you are really creating a movement.
Well, it's very sweet. And I always say it's very irresponsible not to acknowledge the thousands of people that are dedicating their lives to this. And sometimes people think, I've created this or I've led this, and no, I've just been blessed to be given a platform to highlight this and be paired with OVG and the NHL Kraken to really push this at the forefront and be like, you know what, let's all raise a hand and say we've not put sustainability in the forefront, and now we want to change. There's humility that goes with it. I know we're going to learn a lot. I don't say I know the most about sustainability, but I say that I am so passionate. I'm willing to surround myself with people that are going to give the solutions for this. And that's what it's about. And in the team we're building here, I mean, Chef Matteo Cassini, who was the executive chef of the Seattle Seahawks for 5 years, is actually joined the team as executive sous chef because he sees the bigger purpose. And that's humility. That is for you to be able to take that step because this is where you want to be. I think that it's contagious, and very rarely in history do the right people align and the right things align for the impossible to become possible. And this feels that way. And this really feels special. And I think, I can go on a rant, so you could just go like, don't go anymore. But I really feel everyone in this sports and leisure always was frustrated because they wanted these things, and they would bring it to the leadership team, or they would bring it, to budget meetings, and it would get shot down time after time. And now our voices are being heard to where we are going to do this. We are going to hold ourselves accountable. We're going to pull this off. And now everyone around us has no excuse. Now they're going to go, okay, we can't just say it's not possible on such a large scale. And that's the bigger purpose, and that's the bigger challenge. And it's been the biggest learning, giving birth moment of my life on this project. And it all feels so right and so coming together in a way that I really think historically people are going to talk about this for many years to come.
It sounds so similar to, I think when we first were discussing, Simone and I, about front of the house and FOH, and how it would be to be. I mean, she literally was about to sign a lease to another store for Real Life Basic, and kind of put her pen down and said, we should really just be designing and manufacturing these and going to the hotels and restaurants. And, it's like, don't sign that lease. Let's do it. And it's you phrased it, make the impossible possible.
Yeah.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
And it trickles down because you feel it around everywhere, every energy. There's not a person, there's a movement of people in this collaboration project where it aligns. We all are aligning, and it's just getting bigger and stronger and unstoppable. And it starts with FOH. I mean, you guys are part of this. We flew Cherylee out from Chicago to Seattle for our first, really breaking the bread of these concepts. She went above and beyond any other person that is attached to this project from a vendor standpoint and it fit you, right? And that's what it's all collective of people that you've met in the industry that align with your vision, align with your morals and philosophy of this, just wanting to do genuinely transparent, good things in this world. And Cherylee just drove that. And, I look back on that week. That week was a really telling week for us. We were put on really, really tight constraints. I don't know if she dove into it, but we were showing 78 menu items. I was the only culinarian on the team. We had 0 kitchen, 0 vendors set up. Cherylee wasn't even a vendor set up. Like, it was such a unrealistic thing, but I was like, you know what? Let's go and let's see what happens. And it turned out to be.
Wow.
It felt like a battleground. I was like coming
Dude,
into
it
a
was.
battleground, and there was just like papers everywhere.
It was wild.
I
was so embarrassed because it was so unorganized. And I was like, Cherylee, just there's
No,
a
I
light
mean,
at the
you
end of the
just
tunnel.
put
Just
it
get
together.
on this car and we're going to drive it. And I promise you it will pay off. And
But when you're
we did.
surrounded by smart people who are not able to think within a box,
Yeah, you
right?
can.
Where
Yeah.
our thought process exists literally in a different place. You feed off of each other's energy
Yes.
and creativity.
Oh my God, totally.
And I think that's
Yeah.
what was happening, right? It had to have been what was happening
Had
with
to.
you.
Yeah.
And
I felt it. I really did. I mean,
Right?
I know Chef's talking about it, but it felt magical to be there. I'll be honest with you guys. It felt so surreal. Just
Mhm.
like I always see the process from, maybe 50 to 100, but I felt like I was seeing it from 0 to 50. Do you know what I
And
mean?
you did.
So
Yeah.
I felt like I was coming in with you guys, with the menu, seeing what worked with the plate, seeing what worked with the vessels. And honestly, I have goosebumps thinking about it because it really felt like I was a part of your team.
You are.
And
Yeah.
it really, and I felt so, I just felt that energy with everybody and wanting to make it right and wanting to do good for the higher purpose of what Climate Pledge is trying to do. So it really, I
Mhm.
really felt it, so it's
And
pretty
giving us the
cool.
opportunity, Chef, to come in and see that and really be able to have that knowledge of how things start and the path that you take gives us the opportunity to be better because we learn what we're doing right and what we're maybe not doing enough of. And maybe we're not succeeding. So it's just, thank you so much for giving us that opportunity to be so visible. And we love the relationship because you are honest with us, and you're, we're not about being patted on the back. So we are always asking for further ideas. And originally we were asking chefs and many of the items came from discussions with chefs because we were finding out about these like random things that people were going to Home Depot and building like with PVC
Yes.
pipes and, and all that crazy stuff. And I was like, okay, got it. That's what you want. Okay, now we're going to make it so it goes in the dishwasher, and that you can have 500 whenever you want them and, and that sort of stuff. But it comes from people feeling that connection with us that they can say, I want this, but I want it to be yellow and I want it to be 6 inches taller and, whatever.
It's
crazy
so
stuff.
true because it's, for me, I'm all about different lenses. I see it from one lens. And so those Home Depot trips make sense to me because it's an instant, problem solution. And then I can't run it through the dishwasher or it breaks or I haven't thought all those other pieces. So with Cherylee on the team and FOH, it's like they think about all those things that my lens doesn't. And that's what I want. I want everyone's lenses on this. I want everyone's perspective. We talk about inclusivity and visibility. I can speak as a female, lesbian 36-year-old. That's one lens. I don't have all these other colorful lenses. And so the more we bring these people together, the better the vision is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And to talk about, all of this for Women's Equality Day is like, it is so perfect because we're not talking about it for that. This is just an everyday discussion that we could be having.
Absolutely.
We're not, right? This is authentic. We're not finding the women to get them together, to have a discussion, to make it look like it's just us. And I think that that's a beautiful thing. And, for Mayda and I to start the company when we were the only female owners of a company,
Yeah.
making porcelain, making dinnerware, making, all of the product lines, and people underestimated us so much. And it was great.
I love it.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Best.
They didn't
We
know what was
disrupted.
coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
They didn't know what was
disrupted.
coming,
Yeah.
and it was the best thing because they didn't expect anything of us. And we got to ride completely under the radar for a long time. So it must be a very different experience for you guys to come out with so much knowledge and power and financing and make such a big statement. I wonder, were there days where you were like, oh my God, is this going to work? Or do we have what we need? Or,
this morning.
Yeah. This morning.
No, I love that you say that, because when I joined this team and we were discovering that I'd be the first female executive chef to inaugurate an arena and a sports professional team, and then to also find out I'll be the first openly out, there was a space for me to talk and say, listen, I don't want to be just a check. I don't want to be token, like, let's toiter around and say, hey, we're inclusive. I said, I want to humanize this, and I want it to be a discussion of organic conversation. And it's not all going to be pretty. It's not all going to be, hurrah, but it makes the hurrah moments much stronger when we talk about the struggle. And so when I do talk about this subject, I like to acknowledge the women and men, because men are a part of this inclusivity as well. They have to understand that they need to be a part of this movement. And so when I talk about it, I need to acknowledge the ones before us, like, you founding FOH in such a time where visibility was very minute. Dominic Krem, who was the first female executive chef to hold a 2-star Michelin, I want to sing their voices. I want to sing their names, because it's important to talk about how long the journey is. And so when we get to me, being a female, a masculine female in this industry, there's been a lot of struggles. Sometimes the voice was, she's too butch, she's too hard, she's rubbing people the wrong way, and she's not going to get the position, to now she's getting the position because she is gay, she's female. And that narrative is so toxic and dangerous for all the little girls and boys that are watching, because they don't want to be a part of that. And frankly, no one should want to be a part of that. So it's accountability of acknowledging how far we've come, but then also talking about how much more we have to do, and it will not stop, and that work won't stop. And so I love these conversations, because it's important to look at the whole viewpoint of it.
Absolutely. I'm encouraged so much by the younger generations now, how, so Mayda and I have 3 kids. I mentioned Ethan, he's got a twin sister, Marley. We've got a younger 16-year-old Noah, and they talk about things in a very different way. Now they have 2 moms, so that's their experience.
That helps.
But it's not just them, it's their friends, it's the entire generation, and what they're okay talking about and what they won't put up with in terms of language and discussion, completely outside of our community, in terms of being women, in terms of being gay women. Just that generation will not put up with anything that is negative or unequal in any way, shape, or form. And so I'm really encouraged by that. You see that as well, right?
And I love it. I welcome it. And when we talk about leadership in this industry and welcoming a new generation, I want to create a safe place where people can come and feel heard, feel seen. There's a mindfulness to it. And they go home and they don't have to think about the place. They can be with their families. They can be present. And there's always been this toxic revolving, like, well, when I was growing up, I, got plates thrown at me, and that's just the industry. And I said, well, did you like it? No, you didn't like it. So why would you create that same environment just because that's what you went through? Wouldn't you want to change it? And then I think, to acknowledge Anthony Bourdain and so many other, when mental health became a focal point for this industry, it allowed us to take a step back and go, okay, hold on. This doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't have to be this rough, tough, cutthroat. If you're dying on the floor, die in quietness, please, over there.
Please keep cooking while you're dying. Right.
Yeah, it is. And, I had to learn that the hard way. I was very insecure because I was a young leader. I was given a lot of responsibility in my early 20s, late teens, to where I felt the more louder, the more mean and aggressive, the more, nope, it's only yes chef or no chef. The more results I got, the more ego I filled. And then when I needed them the most, and it was outside of their normal duties, where, I needed them to stay late, they all hung up their aprons and walked out, and I was left alone. And that was a moment for me to reflect, okay, they don't like me. They're not listening. They just want me to stop talking. So they're doing what I'm saying. I need to take some self-awareness and take a step back. And that's that, to our point at the beginning of the conversation about putting people first. When I had that humbling moment in my life, I reevaluated all my mentors. I reevaluated my leadership. I reevaluated the way people perceive me. And I sum up my leadership very simply now. If I have to build a boat for the oceans, am I going to grab the hammer and nails and say, point here, hammer here, and do that 10 times? Or am I going to tell them about the oceans and the fresh air that they're going to smell and the giant fish we're going to catch, and get them so invested with purpose, excitement, where they're grabbing the hammers and nails and they're rushing over and they're like, how do we do this? Is this right? And once I made that connection, that's where my career started just naturally, organically going into a direction where it got me here with you today. So
that's
Oh my
amazing.
God, I love it.
I love that. And
story.
finding
Good
people
analogy
who
just
also
says chill.
are going to build a boat in a different way,
yeah.
right? And encouraging them to speak up. Yeah.
Yes.
Incredible. Because
the
they're
days
afraid
of-
to, especially young women.
Well, and that's what's so fascinating. It's a very, everyday conversation that women and men have together, where we have to apologize or we want to put an exclamation point in an email because we feel like it's delivered better, opposed to like, I sound really harsh when I don't sound I'm excited about something. And it's us catching ourselves and pivoting and then creating no space or a microphone for any kind of pushback from, oh, you're being aggressive, or, oh, you're just at that time of the month. And we just eliminate it. And like, we get, where I learned that, Simone? From people like your children, from the younger generation, because they're like, no, that is, nope, move on, next conversation. And that's inspired me to be like, absolutely. If we can, our younger generation gets it, then us, we have to, be progressive and evolve with it, or we'll get left in the dust.
Right. And they'll understand the distinction between being aggressive and being assertive.
100%. And,
right.
Mhm.
I'm
And then
blessed.
women won't be told, or little girls won't be told that they're being bossy, they're being future leaders.
Yes.
Is the thing. I'm sure we were all future leaders when we were younger.
Yes, absolutely. And I think these conversations and us acknowledging, Diane or Dominic Krem or all these other people just shows that visibility is everywhere. And these women and these leadership roles, and it's making small tweaks in our dialogue from saying boss lady to just boss.
Yes.
That little tweak, those little ears hear that, and it makes a big difference to know that gender doesn't apply to leadership. And I think that's super crucial. And it's just being mindful. It's just being mindful.
Absolutely.
So true.
Love that. I was watching TV the other day, and they were talking about this new class and how the distinction of freshman instead of fresh person. And I was like, what, there's fresh person now? That's interesting. And I don't know how long that'll take to take hold, but in all industries, going from actor and actress to now just actor. And so our industry has been a little bit slower to make those distinctions, but look at us all now. It's definitely happening.
Absolutely.
And there are opportunities, because you've created such a movement and people want to be a part of it. Then they're going to see not just everything you're doing with sustainability, but what you're doing with equality, and what you're doing with opportunity, and what you're doing with culture.
Well, like I said, it's changed my life, because failure will do that to you, rejection will do that to you. That's where I learned the most. We do this exercise. There's 6 salary chefs on my team, 7 including me. We do this exercise when we do our culinary meeting every morning, and it's every morning, and I'm adamant about it. And it's just as important as making sure the food is safe for people. We sit in this round table, and I want to know their purpose. I want to know why they're here, whether it's a personal reason, whether it's, something small that day, but we go around the room and we say our purpose. And then there's this message that says, so in those frustrating moments, in those moments where you want to cast, upset anger towards one another, remember that there's a purpose, and help guide them back to that purpose, opposed to just saying they're lazy, they don't care. They do care. They're just in a frustrating moment, because this is a really heavy project with a lot of pressure. So hear your colleagues, and then in that moment, remember that there's purpose for them too. They just lost sight of it, and help bring them back. And it's, this project, I've never witnessed more pressure or an all eyes on you from an industry
I saw the
standpoint.
pressure. I saw the pressure. So Chef,
Yes.
my question to you, how do you handle such a huge project and the pressure that comes with being the first female executive chef to start a professional stadium NHL team?
This is such an important question because I feel like growing up, I always looked at leaders and you only saw them perfect. So when I started going through my career and I started being imperfect, I felt I wasn't right for that. I felt like I didn't deserve it because, you know, people ahead of me never slipped. They never fell. So for me, it's being human and it's being transparent with my struggle, to acknowledge when I don't feel excited to go into work, acknowledge when I do feel overwhelmed. And so when I accepted this role, I went to my, you know, partner and said, this is more than just me. This is going to require my family. This is going to require a village to be able to prepare for this, because I think in my younger career, I would get so like nothing matters but showing up physically 15 hours a day, push, push, push. But what I learned that was crucial for this role, that those 15 hours are great if they are productive 15 hours. And so when I approached this project, I said, I'm going to mentally take care of myself, physically take care of myself, spiritually take care of myself, take care of also compartmentalizing and being available for my family so they feel taken care of, and then leaning on them through the process. So every day I try to do a meditation of acknowledgement of what's happening and what's present. And then knowing that my role in this is to give all the tools for my team to succeed, because this is a ginormous lifting project. So I could be the strongest person in the world, but I'm not physically going to lift this up without everyone around me. So I want to check in with my team, make sure that they're being mindful of how they're experiencing life outside of the arena. And we have a lot of people that have moved here for this project. And so checking in with them, making sure that they have a support system around them. And that's really the way we're going to do this. I've been a part of openings from a support role, but never a leadership role. And I know that there's going to be fires, and I know that there's going to be things that are dropped or missed. And so I want to make sure my team has a fireproof, you know, bulletproof jacket on. And that's how I prepare myself for this.
So it's not just you, it's a team effort, essentially, right?
It's
so
not. No,
as much as a lot of the spotlight has been on you and your role, I think what you've learned is it really takes a team. And I saw the team, and it's a strong one. So it's really incredible what's happening. And you're right, I think the visibility is huge. And you know, the more, even, you know, working with Simone and Mayda for the past 10 years, you know, talk about women's equality. Like if I told my 20-year-old self that I'd be here, like talking to you guys, I'd be like, no way, you know,
right.
Like no way. So it's really just an incredible thing to witness how much we've all grown, you know.
And Chef, you're still really, really young.
Oh, thank you.
I think we should acknowledge that also, you know,
Absolutely.
just the fact that you have this incredible position and this incredible opportunity, but you're also really young for all of that. So kudos to you. That's incredible.
Thank you. Thank you. I love that Cherylee brought up the team too, because that is something that's so large. I say this a lot. I strive to be the dumbest person in the room. I strive to surround myself. No, it's true, with people that are visionaries and that are, you know, like we talk about all those different lenses to create the best vision. And I'm really proud of the team we're building here. And it's in unprecedented times building a team of really dedicated people. And a lot of people in this industry feel jaded and hurt by the way that they were taken care of through the pandemic. So creating a safe and inclusive place is starting to take priority next to salary, next to, you know, benefits. And I'm really happy with the leadership team because they see that and they see value in it.
growth opportunities, also
Yeah.
are so key. You have people moving there to be a part of it. Like you said, wow, that
No
is
pressure. It's
such a
fine.
huge statement.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
pressure.
It's quite incredible. Your leadership, has given you, I think, the space that you need. I mean, yes, the team is involved, but your leadership has given you the space to create that amazing place to go to work, every day, to create, to, to look at all those possibilities and really flourish. I think FOH, we're very similar also. We truly believe in our team. Simone and I 100% acknowledge that we wouldn't be the company that we are today if we didn't have the team that we have.
Yeah.
And so, we always love to try and encourage, Cherylee. I remember Cherylee coming into my office, several years ago saying, oh yeah, there's all, and there's stadiums, Mayda, you might want to take a look at that. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And literally right there, I'm like going, okay, we're going to create this position and you're going to be in this position and, start calling chefs, in stadiums. And she's like, are you serious? I'm like, sure. I'll talk to, at that point, the VP of sales. I'll talk to him and I'll let him know, but we're going to do this. This is great.
Well,
And that's such, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Chef, go ahead.
I love that you brought that up because it's such a good point. So I've been in this industry. I've been blessed with 20 years of cooking. And the first half of the 10 years, it was all about private sectors. I was in, Europe for a little bit, the West Coast. And I wanted to chase that Michelin star, that path, because as culinarians, there's this path and you don't realize all the rest of the other avenues that you could venture down. And so when I was approached by my mentor, Jeff Lighty, and he told me about sports and leisure, and I go, you mean hot dogs? You mean rubbery chicken? I was like,
that was a natural conclusion, right?
Right. And he sat me down and told me of this world where you want to make change, you want to make progress, you want to really get in the inside and mess things up. That's how you do it. And I fell in love with the logistics. I fell in love with the impossible becoming possible. And it's moved me from San Diego to Colorado to now Seattle. And I've seen things that I never in my wildest dream felt. And so for me, my reality is creating that platform for all these other young culinarians. That it's not just a restaurant. Restaurants are amazing. We need all visibility of all different kinds of avenues. But this avenue, I think, has been so kind of kicked to the curb of just generic mass-produced food. And I love stripping people's perception of that and being a part of that movement, because we look at some of our vendors who want to be a part of this progress in Seattle, and they're having to change their process and SOPs to meet the demands of my building. And that's how sustainability happens. And that's how change happens, is we have such a large platform. You want to come in this building, you've got to meet criteria A, B, and C. And we're seeing them flex that. And it's astonishing.
Yeah. I think the whole,
Amazing.
Tomorrow with women's equality, I think you hit the nail on the head right there, because I don't think we ever looked at this part of the industry thinking, oh, it's male dominated. It's, women aren't there. We're going to, we don't have a place there. And for us to say, well, hold on,
not ready
no
for
way.
creativity.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that too. I mean, we didn't think they were.
Right.
So they were.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And
that's very true.
I do want to give credit to Delaware North. They have created this space for this. And I want to be mindful, women don't need a seat at the table. We'll bring our own seat. We're fine. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I don't need anybody to create space for me, but it makes it much more collaborative when we have people saying, yes, let's go on this journey with you. So I wanted to say Delaware North they are so outside the box with this project, and they are all for it. And that's what's important. So FOH, Delaware North, OVG, NHL, all of these collaborative groups coming together just creates one big movement. And so it's been, because I left my tenured position with the company for 10 years for this role. And that was really scary for me because I've been taken care of so well. I felt like I had such a great thing going. And for me to leave that company for a company I was unfamiliar with, it was the best outcome, because we sat at the table and I said, let's just talk. Let's see if this is a fit. Let's see if, we align in our thought process. And not necessarily I want us to think the same thing, because I need, again, all those lenses of different views, but I want to make sure we all have the common same goal, which is an all-inclusive, sustainable, project. And that's what this is.
So you bring up like my next topic here, which is sustainability,
Yeah.
right? And I felt like you had such a great thing that you were doing at Seattle Aquarium, right?
Yeah.
I felt like it was a great kind of grooming role to your role now. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, and Simone, this story reminds me of your story from your brick and mortar to where FOH is now. So I was running a $60 million property in Colorado, and when I got told I was coming to Seattle to run a $3 million property, I was like, well, hold on. But younger Molly said, let's be open-minded, because you have no idea where this is going. And so when I joined the Seattle Aquarium team, my desk literally was butted up next to marine biologists and these scientists who devote their entire existence to sustainability. So I had this idea of what sustainability was, which again is that small view. And then when I met people that are under the radar, not a part of the food and beverage scene, it changed my life. It woke me up, and it's exactly what I needed, to where I felt like everything aligned for me to take this role with Climate Pledge Arena. So when they courted me back, in December of 2019, it felt like all of these things happened for this, because sustainability needs to be talked about in a more visible way, of not just the foods we're sourcing, not just the chemicals we're using, but also the gloves. I want to raise my hand and go, I don't know the solution for these latex gloves. I know it's a problem. Let's see if we can align with people and oppositions, because what tends to happen is what I call a smoke and mirror effect, where we want to get that grab moment of, oh, it's free range chicken. And now guests feel safe and they're like, I'm doing something good. But a lot of people in this world know free range chicken means nothing. It means nothing. And we create these safety blankets for people to keep moving through lives feeling like they're being a part of sustainability. And that's on us as an industry. And we take ownership of that, and we are handling the responsibility of changing that. So we're not going to use, fluff terms of cage-free eggs just to slap on our menus and then truly only offer it in this part of our avenue opposed to the old operations. We're truly challenging ourselves. And sustainability, Cherylee, in my brain is two things. The first is how we traditionally think about it, which is our livestock, which is our earth. How do we sustain these resources? The second is a business sustainability, because if we create this, we have to be able to sustain it to support the first part of this mission. And so coming up with a business plan that is lucrative to keep allowing this movement to go has been probably the biggest challenge, because as we know, sustainability and responsible sourcing is expensive. And we in the industry has created this problem. Maybe the intent was good because of population and we felt we had to mass produce food, but regardless of the intent, I'm more about the solution, and the solution is slowing down and being mindful in every step that we have.
Wow.
I ramble. I'm so sorry, Simone.
I have nothing to add. You are a force to be reckoned with. It is so powerful what you're doing, and to hear more about it, it just like makes my brain churn.
Yeah, it's a huge deal. I mean, the fact that you guys are committed to no plastic by 2024.
Yeah.
And knowing what I know about the sports and entertainment segment, this is not an easy feat because of the volume of people you guys have coming in there, and the constant churn and burn of food and drinks and beverage. So how are you guys working through that? Like
So
what could we do as a company to also help with that goal?
I love that question, and I want to answer it in two ways. The first one is what we do as vendors and companies in this industry. It's truly changing the way we think, just the way we think about women in leadership, and it's that same for sustainability. It's always been done this way. Well, let's stop and let's literally go through each layer and say, is there a better way? And we have a group discussion. Is there a better way? Great. How do we navigate to get to that solution? Or is this a truly, great path we're on? And having those talks. Sometimes we walk away with not changing things. Majority of the time we walk away with changing these things. But for the storytelling piece, because it's only sustainable if people buy in, it's only sustainable if people understand it, is the most important part. For example, you just said we've committed to no single-use plastic by 2024. Now, if I was just a patron on the street and I read that headline, which we're in a culture where we have a whole opinion off a headline, I would go, you idiots, why don't you just open the doors without plastic? And that's where the storytelling moment comes in. Well, we are opening the doors with no single-use plastic from a food perspective. It's 100% compostable, but in order for our beverage program to meet the demands, Coors Light and Pepsi have committed to coming in earlier than their original pledge to meet the demands of our building. And that ship takes time to turn, and they've committed to 2024. That's 10 years early. That is change. That is sustainability. But to the person on the street,
Goosebumps.
that's huge. We're holding these corporations that have ran such large things and have had no rules of engagement. Now it's, nope, you want to play games, you got to come to the table and meet us. And I do get a follow-up question, because I think it's important to acknowledge the questions that aren't as fun to answer. Why are you inviting Coors and Pepsi into this project? Well, the corporations are not bad. They are important. They have a huge piece of this, just as much as small businesses do. So we want to highlight the ones that are growth, changing the rules on progressive, sustainable matching, because they employ a lot of people just as much as the small businesses, from Chelsea, who's at Treat Cookies, who started in her garage with her mom, and now she's one of the biggest pieces to this project. So they all have to go together. And I want to be the ambassador of making sure everyone is in line with a bigger purpose.
I have a question.
Yeah.
For you. It's because, which is so true. It's about the storytelling, right? Because people really need to know that. But how or are you looking at how to have the people you're telling the stories to continue the story when they go home, or when they go to work, or when they go, how do we keep that story going and living?
What I love that question, because it actually aligns with FOH. So FOH, as we know, they didn't have, or you all did not have a marketing team that came on board and here's what I want you to tell the people about us. You just did what you did, and naturally, contagiously, it caught on and spread like wildfire. Malcolm Gladwell is one of my favorite authors, and he came out with a book called The Tipping Point, and he talks about humanity and how they just start clicking and a movement occurs. And so when we sit at the table with the exec team and we talk about visibility, we have such a great storytelling piece due to our marketing team, but it is just as important as this organic flow of inviting people into this project and giving them a purpose and giving them a passion. And so when our guests walk through our doors, yes, they're going to have an entertainment night, like nonetheless, with the food experience, with whatever concert or hockey game they are watching, but they're also going to be inspired about the visibility of the storytelling. So when they leave and go home to their families, they're making more conscious decisions. And I do want to say there are things outside of our control, like they chose Seattle for this project. That there is part of that historic moment of this is the city for it. I think this community is hungry for it.
Yeah.
And so I think it's really smart to have it here. I mean, I had nothing to do with that, but I'm going to ride that wave all the way to get us to the finish line.
Right. And for that wave to continue around the country.
Exactly.
You know, 'cause
Exactly.
it just seems so overwhelming sometimes when you look at the amount of packaging that is coming from major retailers and the greenwashing that's happening in the industry where people are pretending to be,
Yes.
you know, sustainable and Mayda and I have talked about. That's probably one thing that the younger generation perhaps is not doing a great job with. I think that they feel so overwhelmed, or at least those that we've come in contact with, so overwhelmed by the lack of movement that's happened to make things better that that they're like, it's, you know, it's nothing's happening. It's not going to go anywhere. What's the point? You know, like sometimes we'll hear that from our kids and it was like, well, we all, you know, you can't go around thinking like nothing's going to happen. You have to be the one that's making it happen.
Yeah, and I love learning from the younger generation and I embrace it. And they are just such a narrative of, guys, how are you allowed this to go on this long?
Yeah.
How have you allowed, you know, there are
Yeah.
fires getting out of control on the West Coast. And so they're right. That's a great question. I don't know how, but I know that we're going to come up with a solution and we're inviting you to be a part of it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree. I think all the intentions are there, but then, you know, you get down to the recycling or the composting, and then there's no infrastructure to support it. And I know that's always kind of like the follow through that we're lacking. And I think what you're doing, and hopefully, you know, when people go into Climate Pledge, they'll understand it, because I know that's what you guys are working towards, and it's so important that every other stadium follows suit too.
Yeah. And I think it's accountability, right?
Right.
When the cameras go away, when corporate goes away, when the glitter goes away, to continue. I call it the day 12. In our industry, we call it day 12 because the first 11 days of opening a property is the hardest, most crucial time. Okay. But you have literally the entire world watching you. But on day 12, they've all gone back. They moved on to the next project, and day 12 is the hardest. And so I'm preparing my team for the day 12 and onward. The sustainability initiative of this, and just to highlight a few, it's an all electric kitchen of this size in the world. It has only one gas line on the entire property, and it's just for the refrigeration systems until technology catches up. Our Zamboni is even electric. We have a rainforest system or a rainwater system. So our ice on the rink is recycled rainwater, which it seems to the younger generation, they always say, oh, why aren't all hockey rinks like that? And I go, that's sometimes it's oblivious. Like, it's a great, I don't know, but we're going that way. I don't know why, but, and we're sourcing, and this one's really important because I feel like a lot of people say this, but I really, really mean it. We're sourcing 75% of our ingredients within 300-mile radius. Now, that's not just for clubs. That's not just for suites. That's for the entire property. And that was a really big, crucial thing for me. I said, I do not want to be a part of the greenwashing, the smoke and mirror. I need it to be genuine. I need us to speak out when we aren't doing the most sustainable product. I want us to note it. I want us to talk about it. And DNC, Delaware North, and Climate Pledge Arena are all for it. They, I think, and that's back to when we surround ourselves with people that hold us accountable and push it. It's just, it's this game of this, you know?
You're right. The smoke and mirrors thing is so important because I think people are still, you know, singing that song of smoke and mirrors. But I think the fact that, you know, you're not wanting to take the easy route, right? Oh, we can say it is, but it's not really. And behind the scenes, you're totally not. But I honestly really respect and appreciate that you guys are wanting to do this full-fledged, 100%, no BS, you know?
Yeah, and there's a lot of humility that goes with it. Surely there are days I wake up and I'm exhausted from it, but I know you got to keep going because there's bigger purpose.
You connect to your higher purpose.
Yeah.
I love that you do that every day.
Yeah.
I think that is just, that's so powerful. How does your staff react to that? Are they ready for it every day?
Well, I was very mindful in the hiring process of the leadership team, because that dictates so much of our quality of our whole team. I think there's a lot of like, but now it's the favorite part of their day. There would be, we're behind, chef. If 10 minutes puts us behind, we're already behind.
Yeah.
Because this 10-minute time with all of us sitting here and doing these things is going to dictate that 15-day work hour. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it makes these 15 much more productive. And now, you know, the goal is as we start bringing our hourly associates on at the end of September, I'm hoping that what they take away from that is that they're going to their teams and doing the same concept, and it's just trickling down and down and down. So, because we can't do this without every single person. This requires every single person and every single one to be invested.
I think if you have the what you're doing with the leadership and they are bought in, it's going to trickle down. You know, at FOH, really, I mean, we have such an incredible leadership team, and we do some mindfulness, you know, ourselves, where we kind of get me into your world, you know, both personally and professionally. You know, where are you? Let me have your headspace. Let me know where you are, because that will dictate to how you are throughout the day. And the more we know, the better it is. And we've taken our managers and then our team leaders, you know, trickle down and just go to your team, do this mindfulness. And it's quite, sometimes it's interesting, because at our distribution center, you know, we had this big powwow meeting, and it seems a little woo-woo to some people. You know, you're in this distribution center, and you know, the people were just a week in, hourly week into being an FOHer, you know, and they came out of that meeting, they were like, wow, nobody's ever really cared about what I've been going through. This is incredible, and I just want to work that much more. Great, you know.
Yeah. And people commented how they couldn't believe that we would take, you know, 2 hours out of the schedule to have that. We have 39 containers on the water right now. You know, the world opened up like boom. And we, you know, we want to supply everyone, and everyone's coming to us because there's so many other people out there, other companies out there who can't supply them. So, you know, we are really, really, really committed to making sure that we are able to get people what they want. So the DC is really busy. And they were like, wow, you guys, with all this going on, you didn't cancel it. You still took time to do it. And, you know, if we didn't do those kind of things, you know, how could we ask people to work as hard if we don't know what's going on? And it's an opportunity for people to really connect with their emotions. For those of us who stay really busy and you know, maybe don't go down there, you know, to wherever that is, to kind of keep pushing things down, you know. It's an amazing way for people to connect with themselves, and for the company to take time to let them do that is really important to us. It's
so true, because it's that human element we keep talking about. If we realize there's a person there and a family behind them, and friends, and their own hobbies and their own likes and dislikes and their own frustrations, what I tell my team is, I don't want to discredit bad days. Bad days are going to happen. I'm not telling you to smile through the bad days. What I'm telling you is invite me into your bad day, so I know to communicate with you differently, and I can take stuff off your plate and move it. And that's what's really crucial. I don't want to create this facade of we are this one team that marches and no one has emotions. It's have bad days, just communicate. So your team, you can lean on your team. And that's made a big difference, I think, over the summer with our culinary team, because this, like I said, the amount of pressure these people are under, the amount of pressure I put them on, the community, the industry, is astronomical. And, you know, as we know, the percentages of opening teams that actually stay on the team is very, very small. I think it's 64% of the opening team actually makes it through the first year. And that's such a scary statistic for me, because these are, I don't want to use and burn them and throw, you know, well, got us open. I just need to, we can no longer operate that way. It is not sustainable.
Yeah.
And so I'm invested in these individuals and just as much as I'm invested in this project to get them over that hump and break that statistic, just like all the other statistics we're going to break.
Incredible.
Breaking
You've
barriers.
given me goosebumps like 4 times during this call. It's like, and I'm not cold. It literally is just like, you'll say things and I'll be like, ooh,
Yeah, Miami.
that is so
Thank you.
true. That's
So I feel
amazing.
like the conversation is leading us to something that I wanted to ask everyone on this call, and it's 2020 and what it taught you, because I know obviously there's been some overspill in some of the challenges from last year coming into this year. So I wanted to ask everyone, Simone, Mayda, Chef, what did 2020 teach you?
Cherylee, you go first. I love that question.
Oh my goodness, you want me to go first?
Yes.
Wow. I feel like I realized that I'm stronger than what I think. You know, I think you don't realize that you're able to overcome something until you're there and you overcome it. I think that I learned to be very grateful for the people around me, because without people around me, my FOH family, my personal family, I wouldn't have been able to survive. You know, I mean, I can't imagine people that were in, you know, hospitals not able to see family during that time, you know, and, you know, I've had some family pass away, and it just makes you just be super hyper aware of your place and all the good things that are there, you know. So I'm getting emotional talking about it. I just feel like it's so important to just be mindful of where we are and how great it is and how lucky we are to be, you know, sitting here alive and having these opportunities to talk about the future and to think about all the things that we've overcome, not just 2020, but, you know, even, you know, coming out, you know, as someone that's gay and looking at the past generations and being like, man, they're or the new generation that are they're fearless, you know, they're not scared to speak out about who they are. You know, I think that's the other lesson is, you know, time is precious and you can't hide behind, you know, who you are and what you want to be, and you can't be afraid to speak your truth. And I've heard you say this throughout the entire, you know, call today, is it's that truth and being accountable and being you and letting everyone know about it, even though, you know, it might not be, you know, something that you want to talk about, but it is important for other people to hear it, because otherwise, you know, it's that connection more than ever that I think we really relied on last year. So that's my answer.
That was great.
That's a really good answer. Really good answer.
That's really great.
I have one that really struck me when you first asked that question. I was like, there's so many things that I learned. I don't even know how I could narrow it down. But I think that, you know, really being an entrepreneur and coming from a family of entrepreneurs, when Mayda and I started FOH, we were completely figuring shit out on our own.
Yeah.
You know, and while, you know, Mayda had a master's and I had a master's, and we, you know, we, from the business end, you know, we knew what we were doing. From the manufacturing end, I had that experience in my family, but we were making products that were so different with materials that were so different, that we were like truly relying on just our creativity and our entrepreneurial vision and skills. And then the company got older. And while we were still definitely thinking, you know, in our own realms, right? Not trying to do things as very, as much different, trying to do things really different from what other people were, like intentionally trying to be different, but just also knowing that we were different, so we were going to be different. We then sort of got on a little bit of a treadmill. And so the reboot in 2020 when everything had to change. And everyone was, after a couple of months talking about like, oh, I pivoted and my company pivoted and we pivoted. And I was like, oh my God, you know what? We didn't just pivot. We literally like changed our company, because who's going to need porcelain? Who's, none of our core product line, which was, doing so great and getting people what they needed, was needed. And so when we came out with FOH Health Essentials, it was truly to get reliable PPE out to people who needed it right then, because there was so much bad stuff on the market, and we just knew people needed the reliable stuff. And we had this core base trying to open up and trying to stay open. So I've been rebooted because of that, to then go back to that, like starting a new company sort of like moment, because we all did. We literally like stood up a whole new brand, a whole new product line, and just figured it out in a time where everyone was really freaking out. So that's what I learned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I learned a couple of
Having a
things.
cough attack, so Mayda,
You're
so
good.
sorry. I'm so
Are you
embarrassed.
okay?
but yeah, I just started choking because it's so moving.
Oh,
Also because I swallowed my spit wrong, but
yeah, it happens to me too. And then I think like, God, I hope it's not going to happen when I'm on a call. Or when I'm
100%.
it does. Oh my
I
gosh.
sat here going, of course. Okay, I think it's under control. All right.
For me, two things is, one is that, I always thought that we had an incredible team, and I'm not saying this because two of our team members are on here, but really, truly, we have an incredible team. Without them, it would have been a horrible 2020. Not that it was not terrible, but it would have been a real horrible 2020. Another thing is collaboration, whether it's that communication and collaboration within ourselves, within our teams, and getting in their world and really collaborating with them to try to push this new division forward, and with our customers, be it our end users, the restaurants or the hotels, or even our distributors. It became, more of like a friendship, and the calls were very open and honest, and it was quite amazing, because the information that we were receiving, and the communication information that we were giving out, was unlike any information that we did, pre-COVID, pre-2020. But because of this open communication, we gained trust. Here was a manufacturer of porcelain and, restaurant and, just different product in itself. And here we were trying to sell, the PPE that we weren't in that world. So why would they buy it from us? Because they started to trust us.
mhm.
Right.
And as Simone and her team, did, was to gain that trust by really having our factories vetted, and our PPE vetted. And so,
Right. And having all the certifications and, everything,
Yeah.
because that's the only way we would do it. We'd never put our name on
Right.
something if it wasn't
Yes.
completely like that.
Exactly.
But boy,
And
that
that-
was a steep learning curve, right?
Yeah. And it had to happen fast, quite quickly, right?
Right.
And then getting that out and gaining that trust. And we did. I mean, Cherylee can tell you, we did okay for 2020.
We helped a lot of people get what
We
they
did.
needed.
We really did. We Sodexo, your old, company, they were a big partner with our FHE division, and it was that relationship that we had prior to even everything, the whole world falling apart. It really, the trust was there to move forward with it. So it was great, and we had the full support of the team.
What I've learned in 2020 is two things: intent and accountability. I think those things have been so crucial to my success this year and my self-awareness, because there was a time where there was so much friction happening that you questioned people's intent. So it challenged me to go into this year and this part of our chapter where I'm assuming everyone's intent is genuine and good, until they choose not to, and then that's okay. We go over here, they go over there. And what I've learned is once you take away your armor and realize that you really are aligned with a lot of people, the project took more steam than it had before. And then accountability. This is such a visible role, and this is such a visible project that so many people in the world are working at independently on. There's accountability of acknowledgement that there's a tremendous amount of value for investment in individuals for this project. So being mindful of the work that people have already done, and holding myself accountable to knowing that I don't know everything. And that's what 2020 has taught me, because this has been, to do this project in this temperature of the country was so overwhelming and challenging. And once I started my thought process with intent and accountability, it really helped clear up the road for me. So that's what I learned.
Big thing.
Amazing.
So last question for everyone. What's next? What's next for you, Chef? What's next for you, Simone, with FOH? I'd love to hear it.
Do you want to go first, Chef?
Changing the fucking world.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, next for me is opening up this building, this arena. We're set for October, the third week in October, and just staying genuine and true to the project. After that project goes, I'm hoping this lights such a fire in the industry that it creates a path for more trailblazers and being a resource for those trailblazers. That's what's next for me.
Beautiful.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
When you said changing the fucking world, I was like, okay, but you're doing that. What's next?
Seriously.
That is no small task, and we're 100% behind you in anything you need from us.
Thank you.
For us, we are still not, through this crisis in our industry, and so we are really committed to, working with our partners to help anybody and everybody in our industry, get through this. And so we do a lot of charity work as well. And we're blessed to have a lot of really great PPE through FOH Health Essentials that now we didn't think we would need to keep, giving it out and sharing, but now that things are kind of crazy again, we're doing a lot of that. So, the donation work that we do that we're really committed to is something that's important. And if you haven't had a chance, check out on our website. It's called From Our Hearts, which is really near and dear to us. So that's our CSR, and it's something that we've had for, well, it's from the beginning, that's been our commitment, but we've had it, really strong as From Our Hearts for about 4 years now. So we're going to continue doing that and helping our industry, and we're growing our product lines, and you're going to be really excited because a fair share of the product lines, are true, sustainable, intentional, collections that we're really, really proud of. And growing in terms of color and shape and all of that to remain really like on trend and focused on what the industry needs to help everyone get to the next level.
I love it. I love it.
That's fun.
I can't wait to send you the new stuff, Chef. A lot of more sustainable items, bamboo, all the wood stuff that you love.
Yeah.
So I'll share that with you after the call.
You're the best.
Awesome.
So thank you so much, Chef, for taking the time. We really honestly appreciate everything that you've said, and I'm inspired by it. So keep doing it. Keep doing it.
I'm blessed, and thank you guys so much. And you have to come to Seattle. You have to get a tour of this building, and that's where you'll get the goosebumps and the inspiration for sure.
I would love it. As soon as we can get on a plane, we're going to go there, and we're going to bring you back. And
yes.
Oh, the whole thing. Yes, please.
All right. Blessings. Thank you so much.
Sounds great. Thank you.
All right,
Thank
take
you.
care.
Be well.
Bye.
Good luck with everything.
Bye,
Thank you
guys.
so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
We're logging off.
Bye.
Bye-bye.